Today's engineering tips is really all about the November Workspace update. Let's talk about our Workspace updates. I'm going to go to the Workspace and monthly changes page and just open up the Workspace updates PDF, which I just updated. And this is the first time looking at it since it went live. I forgot to include the information about the ODOT cell library update. So we mostly had just changes that were, there was just very few changes, but for the cell libraries, it was mostly corrections to things that didn't happen when they were supposed to. So we corrected those things. But there has been one addition, and they talked about it in CAD standards today, the addition of the PAT chain link underscore ODOT, which seems like don't need that little bit of the name, but whatever. Isn't everything ODOT? This is what it looks like on the left in a design type model, and on the right, it's in a sheet model. The pattern itself is 12 times larger than it would be in real world size. So I think it's about 2 inches by 3 inches real world. So when you place it without annotation scaling, when you place it without the annotation scale lock, it will show up so you can actually see it in a like inside a sheet. So I've got a border here for reference, and I've patterned this little shape. You can see how much area on the page it takes up. It's really designed for details, as I understand it. Some more details. All right, the other changes that we had were to the DGN libraries, and I'm going to get right into displaying these changes in MicroStation and in Open Roads Designer, which I already have open. Let's just glance through. Oh, I had some pen tables. So the pen table changes were really because of an issue that we discovered with the text styles that ODOT right-of-way and ODOT survey text styles, there's a toggle on them for using stacked fractions, and it's really been incorrectly set for years. Those text styles have, so it's the standard that we do not make the numerator and denominator of fractions smaller for survey products and right-of-way products because we don't want them smaller than our minimum size. So we turned off the use of stacked fractions, and I'll show you how that plays out. And then I'll go right into the ORD changes with the annotation. So I'm going to minimize that and bring MicroStation to the front. So in this MicroStation file, you can see this is the same file that I drew the patterning in. And what I've got is I've just got a piece of text placed. And if you look at the Workspace Update PDF, you'll see this same text, and it has a fraction in it. So normally what happens is you will be performing your work, and maybe you need to, on the ODOT survey ribbon workflow, maybe you need to place some township text or section text, and you will choose the text off of the ribbon workflow. I'm just going to choose the township text, and then you'll type your text in it, and I'm just going to type the same text, NW space 1/4 and a space, and then the word section, and then 25. And what we see when we hover our mouse is it looks the same as what I've already placed, and it is not stacking the fraction, which is correct. That's what I've been told. This is the correct way to do it. So now this should happen pretty consistently, that it will not stack the fraction no matter how you end up placing this text. You should be able to choose your text style from the text editor or choose the whole thing off of the ribbon workflow, and it should place not stacked fractional text. Now, if anybody has any questions about that, feel free to ask. You can type something into the chat if you have a question about it. And I see that Kevin is here. Was there anything that you wanted to add about that, Kevin, in this setting?
I was just going to reemphasize that, definitely for the quarter, our standard has always been 1/4, not stacked fraction. And then the other problem is, like, if we were typing out, say, a monument description, found 5/8 inch iron rod, if that automatically goes into a stacked fraction, then the text, the superscript and subscript of that stacked fraction is possibly below the county minimum size. So that's why we have said the standard is survey does not use stacked fractions.
Right.
Now, if you are using the bigger quarter section, the section text, obviously the smaller size is not necessarily an issue. And if you absolutely do need a stacked fraction, you can accomplish that using the text editor input. So if you do decide that you have a case where you want all of that to happen, then you can make that happen. But
I got someplace in here. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract.
that's okay.
Okay, so we do not want 5/8 inch to be stacked just like this. We want it to just be kind of stretched out with the 5 and the 8 full size. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
And this is the way it's doing it now. Yay! So it's more consistent. Okay.
Right. And
all right.
I mean, when I thought about it, it's like, okay, I think everybody remembered, okay, if I do it this way and I don't put the space here, then I can get it to not stack. I mean, now you don't have to worry about that. It shouldn't do it.
Right. Okay.
And
awesome.
If you do have a use for the stacked fraction and want to see that, let one of us know. It's super, super easy. But I want to say standard is don't use stacked fractions.
Yeah, it is very easy to use the text editor window actually to stack a fraction if it's not stacked. So yeah, we can show you how to do that if you need that. All right, so now let's talk about the changes to the DGN libraries. I'm going to minimize that. I made a change, and let's see if we can bring that back up here. Just had kind of the language of the change, and I didn't really have a picture. But what's happening is that folks, when we have annotations for civil geometry, we want the ability to shift the location, move these things, and have them stay where we put them. And in the past, what happens is anytime that alignment is modified, and then the annotation is opened, it looks at the alignment and says, oh, the alignment was modified, and it re-annotates the whole thing and moves everything back to where it was. Now that was history. That's the way it used to work. I made a change. It's called Manage Modifications. So it tells the civil product, and I'm talking about open roads and open site, it tells them to allow the text to be moved, not deleted, but moved, and it will retain that location even if the alignment is modified. Now, let me tell you, it is very difficult to update standards for annotation groups. So my suggestion is, if you want to take advantage of these new settings, is to create a brand new annotation file. I have done that already. This is a brand new file. There's really nothing in this file except I did make a reference attachment to my geometry container file, live nesting depth of 1 so that I can see the alignment. And then I came in to the level display and I said, oh, I don't really need to see the minor alignment. I just want to look at that major alignment. Now, what I want to do is I want to annotate this. Now, it doesn't matter who created it and what feature definition they used, as long as I use the annotation overrides. So up on the drawing ribbon tab, the drawing production ribbon tab, I'm going to choose the command to, it's under the element annotation button group, and it's called Annotate Element. When I choose that, a dialog box opens up. This is my tool settings, and I can check the box to use an override. I'm going to check that box right now, and I'm going to use an override. I'm not going to annotate all of the elements in the model. I'm going to pick and choose which override I want to use with which element. Then I get to pick a group off of my annotation group list. Now, let me just tell you, if I was to not use an annotation override, it would use the feature definition for the geometry back in the geometry file. That old geometry file, who knows how old it is, but that's the annotation group that it's going to use if I just simply annotate without overrides. So it's very important to check the box to use the overrides, then pick an override. The other thing it's going to do is it's actually going to write this annotation group here to this file so that I can modify it if I wish. I'm going to expand linear if I can get that plan out of the road, and I'm going to choose a right-of-way CL prime. And I'm going to accept that with a left click, and then I'm going to locate my element, left click, and then right click to complete it. And it annotates it according to the RWCL prime. Now, it didn't redraw the linear thing. The linear thing was drawn from the feature definition and that's CL main. It didn't redraw it. It just annotated it. Okay, now I can move a lot of things and they will stay put. What I'll see is I've got a spiral, curved spiral, and I've also got just a regular arc, and I've got annotation for both of those. Maybe I don't want to see this, just the arc annotation, so I'm going to select it. I'm actually going to right click on it, and I'm going to choose the move command, and I'm going to move it from there, and I'm going to move it away from my project area. Just move it away, and it's going to stay put there. It should stay put there. If there's other things that I don't want to see, I can move them away. I can shift things. I can rotate them. I probably have 2 PIs annotated here. Maybe I've only got 1. You can also move this center, the main stationing. You can move these outward or inward. You can move your ending text. Let me move this one. Move this. Just move it from there. I'm going to move it out to there. And that's probably enough. So I can move those, and then I can actually make changes to the alignment and reopen this file, and they should stay put. So that central arc should stay out there. So let's test that. I'm going to open up the geometry. So I'm going to save the settings here, and I'm going to browse to my geometry, which is in the same file. And I'm going to bypass the container file and open up the published geometry because I own that too. And just to let this play out, as soon as it's open, I'm going to take this alignment and let's just change the arc, the radius of the arc. I'm going to change it from 500 to 1000. So I'm going to make a big change to the geometry. And now let's reopen the annotation. I'm just going to choose the annotation off of my recent items because I can. And what we should see is it'll process, and you should have seen that live, how it adjusted. But where's the central arc? It's still out there. All of the things that I moved are still where I put them. Now, if I wanted to look at that, I can do an undo, and it will undo that readjustment. Nope, there is no undo. No undo to that. So any questions about how that works? Things will stay put now when you move them.
So
Yeah.
The text stays put. What about the leaders? Like,
No,
if
the
you, if,
leaders aren't text. This is only
okay,
works on text, and the leaders aren't text. And you'll notice I didn't bother. If I wanted to extend that, I'd probably just draw a new one and draw it longer. If I really wanted to extend a leader or draw
so
my
yeah,
own leader.
right.
But yes,
So,
good point. Cells, this does not work for cells or lines that are drawn. It works for text. Yeah.
so like on that double PI, you can move the station and the leader, but it will.
There's only one leader, so
There's two.
I'm only seeing one. So let's look here.
It's because the leader for the central arc touches the crow's feet. The leader for the curve set does not touch the crow's feet.
You probably did that on purpose, didn't you?
No, we could never get the crow's feet to come on the curve set. The crow's feet, for some
They
reason,
only come on the central arc. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I select up here a little higher, I'll see that there are two things. There we go. Okay. So there are two. All right. So I can move the text,
right.
but the leader, no.
So,
if I move that, it won't stay put.
Right. Now, so
the text will.
The point I'm trying to make is the text, it won't come back. Well, I take this back. I wanted to clarify this point. Do not delete the text. If you delete the text, then Bentley, when it updates again, will say, oh, that text is missing, and it will put it back. It has to still be in the file. So
I think we can just show you that if we delete this central arc and I don't even have to, I just have to reopen the file and it should redraw that central arc because it should reprocess the alignment. Nope, it's going to take an update. Well, but I can go back, I think like what you're saying, if I go back into my geometry and make another adjustment. Any year. There. Go back to the 500, 5,000. Okay. And then if we go back into our annotation, what we'll see is our central arc will come back. And it came back right where we left it off. So when you delete it, they come back. If you move your leaders, they'll move back.
Right.
Yeah.
So 75% of the effort is saved.
Yeah, just move them away.
So my suggestion, the way I would work with this is if you want to make a little corral, a little holding area that's labeled off to the side, alignment annotation, do not delete, and then move all your extra stuff to that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can stack them up all on top of one another too.
Right.
Yeah.
But at least this way, and then especially like, like that 500-foot station, when you have conflicts, we can move those in and out. And
yes. Awesome. Let's see. I was trying to think what I had for other changes. Was just the pen table. I don't have any demonstration for that. Actually, I think that is all I had. Are there any questions about the updates for this month? Yeah.
You have a question in the chat there, Lenny.
Oh, there we go. Will adding or editing any of the text be saved now when regenerating the annotations? If I'm understanding the question, I think you're asking if I edit the text, will those edits remain or will those be lost? And that's,
sorry, Lenny, it's similar to the civil labeler. The text that is highlighted is the civil data, and the text that is not highlighted is editable.
Right. But that's not the question. The question is, does it persist? So let me just edit this group here. This group here, and I'm going to edit the R and type out the full word radius. Okay, that's the edit that I'm going to make. So I've now edited the text. I think the question is, will that revert to an R? I don't know the answer to that. So let's open the geometry just for grins. And let's modify the
Should we take bets now or later?
Well, no, bets are closed. Too late. I think it's going to revert. Oh my gosh. Yep. See, there it reverted. But the placement, so this is only for placement. That was the question. Is this limited to placement? Yes, it's limited to placement because the central arc stayed out there in the corral with the stuff that we don't want to see anymore. But my edit, my edit was re-annotated. So there we have our answer. Sorry, all of you who bet and lost. Are there other questions?
So I mean, the purpose of that I can see from a survey standpoint is, hey, I've got record radius, I've got record delta, I want to put that information in here. You know, the way to do that is don't edit the annotation text, make a new text node that has your record information and place it beside the annotation node.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, having that in mind before you get in here, yes, helps save a lot of frustration. Now you know, just make another node, put it off to the side. Everything will stay where you put it. But yes, you cannot like add an extra line of text to this whole text stack.
Yeah, and your record text node shouldn't have any of this gray background because none of that should be civil.
Correct.
It's just stuff that you've entered. Yes, exactly. All right.
I was just going to say, Lenny, you showed this working with references. Works the same way if you're in the actual geometry file. So you know, if you do place annotation based on the feature definition settings, all of these same rules apply. I know that's how we set up a lot of our survey files. And then the other thing, just to reiterate, even though you perform this in open roads, it behaves exactly the same in open site. For this set of tools, there is no difference between open roads or open site.
Right. And let me add on to what you were saying. If you own the geometry, I kind of pretended that I didn't own the geometry. That's why I created the annotation file. If you own a geometry file and you want to take advantage of these new annotations, it's easier to just create your geometry in a brand new file. If you want to update your annotation groups, maybe you've got a lot of work in a file and you want to update your annotation groups, will you please contact me and I will help you update your annotation groups so that you don't have to create a whole new geometry file. But it is easiest just to do this in a brand new file that doesn't have any annotation groups already written. See, the problem, I'm going to open up the standards here. What we'll see is the override was written to this file for the right-of-way, CL prime. It wrote that to this file. This is the annotation file. But if I open up the geometry file and I look at, there's an annotation group. There's a couple in this geometry file. I'm going to open up the standards in the geometry file. This is an older file that I upgraded from 2023 to 2024. And these are older annotation groups. And there's actually 3 of them in there. And these are old. they do not have manage modifications toggled on. If I was to annotate in this file and move this stuff, it's going to go right back to where it was when I re-annotate. So that's why I did not use the geometry file. So if you want to update yours, and if you have a geometry file that you want to update the standards for annotation groups, give me a jingle and I'll help you do that.
And I will say, from the survey standpoint, if you're debating on what to do, make a new annotation file that's just your alignment annotations. If you have a lot of if you have a lot of geometry, then you can leave that geometry alone. And that's the other thing. What Lenny showed here is kind of what I'll call the roadway design workflow. And roadway design does that so that they're not always updating, because every time you open the geometry file, it looks at the annotation and wants to update it. So if you separate your files, you can save some of those headaches.
Yeah, that's exactly how I set this up. I created a brand new annotation file. That geometry was from roadway design. It's with CL Main, but I annotated it in this annotation file as if it's right away. So yay, you can do all that.